Holidays. Holidays were the absolute best of times at the Dunn house. All in my mind, holidays included my birthday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, the very best. Let me tell you about Christmas first. As I pointed out earlier, we did not have a lot, but what we always had was fresh, green Christmas tree. My dad, who always tried to save a buck, as he said, would at times bring home a funny looking tree that he got at a bargain price. One year he brought one home that was all cut and flat at one side. After my mom and I pointed that out to him, he said, "No problem. We'll stick it up against the wall and no one will know." That was my dad. Because we had a natural tree, we had to feed it during the holiday season to keep the needles from falling off. So it was my job, just because I was smaller and could get down and go under it, because I was young and small and I could hold a glass and put it in there. Anyhow, so that means I had to crawl under the tree to pour the liquid water to keep the tree alive and not falling apart. It was fun. Also, my dad always made a village under the tree, a little Christmas village. It had little houses with lights stuck in the back and little people to resemble a village. Then as I got older, we had an electric train to put under the tree, and that ran around the village, and I got to operate the train. It was electric. It was an American Flyer train that had a whistle, a light in the front of the locomotive, and it even blew smoke out of the smokestack. That was pretty cool. It was really a special part of Christmas, setting up the village and putting the train around the tree. As I also mentioned, I was a bit spoiled, so Christmas always meant beautifully wrapped presents under the tree. Santa always came to our house on Christmas Eve while I was sleeping, so the excitement of Christmas morning was waking up and opening up the gifts with Mom and Dad and Brother Dan. Christmas also involved visiting aunts and uncles and grandparents and exchanging gifts on my dad's, the Dunn side of the family, because there were just too many of us, so we didn't do that. But we would visit, and I could play with my cousins and have a ball and play with their Christmas presents. On my mother's side of my family, I had an Aunt Tommy. Yes, she was an aunt named Tommy. Mary Lou was her real name. She was a little bitsy thing, but she was really a neat lady. Full of the devil, she was married to my Uncle Louis Schreier. He was a very quiet man. He was a trader at the Board of Trade in downtown Chicago. According to our family standards, they lived in Oak Park and they were rich. My Aunt Tommy was my mother's aunt, my great aunt. Anyway, we would always go out on a day or two before Christmas, and Aunt Tom would always buy us some really nice gifts. She was a very loving, giving person and just loved to do things for others. So Aunt Tom always meant a nice gift or two and a delicious meal. One of the other neat traditions I remember was going around and visiting Christmas churches a week or two before Christmas. My dad and Mom would pile us into the little car, and we would drive to 4 or 5 different churches to see the nativity scenes that were very grandiose of the baby Jesus and the donkeys and the visiting magi and all of those things. Back then, we were rather elaborate and very detailed. It was a fun family thing because after we saw all the churches, we would stop somewhere for hot chocolate. That was special. It was normally pretty cold and quite often snowy, so the hot chocolate was a big treat. As a preteen, I was blessed with a beautiful singing voice, different than what you hear today. So with the proper direction from my parents and the BVM nuns, I sang in the church choir. My voice was high, so I chose to sing descant or cantor in the Christmas choir. That was very special. I was the one and only. The B suite was to sing at midnight mass, which was a large tradition back then. A big tradition in the Catholic faith. I love music, I love singing, and I love Christmas. But it's not the like. You couldn't beat that. Although all of my Christmas memories are great, two specific holidays stand out from my young years. The first was when I was about 4 or 5 years old. Christmas morning arrived early for me. I guess I was just overly excited about Christmas this year. I jumped out of bed and ran to the living room to see if Santa had been there. Well, sure enough, he was there. And all the presents were wrapped neatly under the tree. I ran to wake up Mom and Dad to say Santa Claus was here. Come on. I told them Santa had come through the chimney and there were gifts all over the place. But for some unknown reason, they had been up late and they were tired. So they didn't wake up. So I negotiated a deal with my half-sleepy parents that I would open only the gifts with the name Jimmy on them. Because that's what I was, Jimmy. So, back to the tree I ran and began to open just the gifts with Jimmy on them. Well, unfortunately, before you do it, I couldn't read that well, so I just kind of opened every gift because I thought they all said Jimmy on them. The gifts from my mom and dad, aunts and uncles, grandmas and grandpas, everyone. I opened them all. When Mom and Dad finally woke up, they were not very happy. They had to rewrap all the gifts that cute little Jimmy opened up. Years later, we had a lot of good laughs over that year, but I'm sure it was just not funny at the time to my mom and dad. They were good sports. After all, how could you get too mad at an excited little kid on Christmas morning? I don't know. The other major Christmas memory I had when I was about, 11 or 12 years old, I really wanted a small yellow race car that I had seen. It had a little small internal combustion engine, a little engine, if you will, and I really, really wanted that. I can still remember that it was the absolute neatest toy in the whole wide world, because you start the engine up and it turned the tires and the little car just drove all over the place. Well, I got the car. It was cast metal at the time, and a small gas engine that you put a little drop of gas in and start it up. Well, we took it over to my friend Jim's Fiala's house and tried to get it started. As we were trying to start it, it dropped from my hands and cracked the metal body. It was never the same, but we tried. But I did get my yellow race car with a gasoline engine, which probably led me to have my future love of automobiles and the internal combustion or gas engine. Maybe that started it all, but we'll discuss more of that later. Another holiday was Thanksgiving. Okay? There was always a great eating holiday. My mom would do lots of preparation, the dressing, the turkey, the homemade pies. We always had pumpkin pie and mincemeat pie. I don't even know what that was, but we ate it. Now, don't ask what mincemeat was, because I don't know and I don't remember. And there was absolutely no meat in mincemeat, okay? I remember as a young kid, I would not even consider eating a piece of mincemeat pie. However, I wasn't an adventurous eater, meaning I pretty much ate everything that was not nailed down, especially sweets. And the family joke was, see if Jimmy will eat it. So as the years went on, I tried it, and I liked mincemeat pie. It was probably the sauce. I think that Mom made some kind of a special sauce. I don't remember what it was. It was like butter rum sauce that you would pour on it. There was Thanksgiving. There was really only one that stood out in my mind as a bit unusual. I was probably about 15 or 16, and we were having everyone, all the family, over my mother's side of the family, over to our house. Grandparents, aunts and uncles, all on my mom's side. My mother had a cooking style that we all teased her about. Mom would make a little bit go a long way, because that's how she lived growing up in the Depression. So whatever was in the refrigerator, Mom would put some in to make it taste better, whatever it was. Well, this this year, Mom had prune juice in the refrigerator, and she thought she would add a little flavor to the mashed potatoes. So she put some prune juice in the mashed potatoes and whipped up a delicious bowl of mashed potatoes. Well, a few of the relatives ate prune juice, and for those of you who don't know what prune juice does, it makes you go to the bathroom. as mother's giving you vitamins, I guess. So the relatives ate the mashed potatoes. Prune juice quickly reacted, and there was a line to get in our one bathroom in our house. We laughed about Grandma Jane's mashed potatoes for many years to come. A cookie story. Throughout all my life, I've always loved cookies. That's one of my best favorite things to eat. My mother would make oatmeal cookies, probably because oatmeal was cheap and nutritious. She also made great chocolate chip cookies and brownies as well. To paraphrase Will Rogers, I never met a cookie I didn't like. And I think you're hearing the truck going by in the background. I'm sorry. So,